You guys 1 second here. Who's doing this? Weird. All right. Okay, so Dan kept his 6. We're underway. Avery shuts it off. Inquisition off a Blood Crypt. We're at 18, but we're looking at Liliana, Maelstrom Pulse, I think Dark Confidant, and some lands. The draw is a Tarmogoyf. There's also a Fatal Push in there. Dan, just a land for his turn and a pass back to Avery. Avery here picks up a Scavenging Ooze. There goes that Bloodstained Mire. So he can play a Goyf right now. Goyf is going to be a 2/3. Land and sorcery only in the graveyard right now. Down to 15 goes Avery. Not a real big concern for the life total here. This matchup doesn't typically come to a race very often. Usually it's one person out ahead. If we're going to go ahead and play that Goyf out. So 2/3 Goyf facing off against just a Verdant Catacombs. Dan is going to go ahead and Fatal Push as you see Avery move that Goyf immediately over to the graveyard. Dan will get a basic Swamp. He goes to 19 only. So down goes the Goyf. Inquisition is the draw for Dan. His hand right now, 2 lands, Liliana, Goyf, Inquisition. Not bad. We'll see where he goes with this. Inquisition, I know Avery has the Skoos, obviously, so. Scavenging Ooze, second Tarmogoyf, Abrupt Decay, Kolaghan's Command. So Avery needs a land. He'll have a play regardless. He'll either have Goyf or Skoos next turn. I have to feel like Dan's going to be taking away Tarmogoyf here. It's just the most impactful card. Scavenging Ooze and Abrupt Decay right now, really not the biggest of deals. Now, Dan does have a Goyf of his own, of course, so the Scavenging Ooze can threaten to shrink Dan's Goyf, but I don't think that's... I mean, I guess you can leave the Goyfs dueling, but you know that Avery has the answer to the Goyfs then. Or at least your Goyf. We'll have to see. I think my pick here is take the Goyf away. Then I'm going to think about it. Abrupt Decay, I will say, does quite a bit against his hand. It does take care of Liliana very cleanly, so he could be thinking about that. Yeah, that's when he decides to go. He's going to get rid of the Abrupt Decay just to keep Liliana in play, is my guess, when she does come down, which could be next turn. So Avery picks up another answer to a Goyf, though. He picks up a Fatal Push, so we now have instant, sorcery, land, creature. We got a 4/5 Goyf now. This one a little bit bigger. We're going to shock into play our Godless Shrines down to 17. Thoughtseize is going to see the Fatal Push and get to take it away. And then we have that spot where we have dueling Goyfs. I mean, you got to be taking away Fatal Push this turn, right, Dan? Like, you don't really have much of a choice. Scavenging Ooze and Kolaghan's Command don't threaten the Goyf. Fatal Push kills it, and then you're losing the race. Yep, away goes that Fatal Push, and sure enough, there's the Goyf to follow it up. So, Dan gonna be able to be the aggressor here, though. Liliana, well, not anymore. So say Liliana turns the Goyf race kind of around and puts it into your favor, but the Thoughtseize draw is going to take away Liliana. So Avery goes to 13, Liliana down. Goyfs now grow a little bit bigger. I think they're 5/6s now. Yeah, a die on top just represents the Goyf size. And Dan's hellbent. Avery, no attack because there's just no point to it. Goyfs just bounce off each other. That's all they do. Dan doing some math. 5 does not equal 6. Liliana of the Veil, another 3-drop that Avery cannot play, but he's going to be in a good spot if he's able to get that down. Again, the Goyf race. Dan held on to a land. Last turn he picked up Marsh Flats. This turn he drew Path to Exile, so that's a good one. That will shift the race back over to Dan. However, it will also give Avery his 3rd land guaranteed, which then will give Avery Liliana. And Dan is just going to go ahead and say go. He doesn't want to risk it. However, Avery finds the 3rd land anyways and picks up Blackcleave Cliffs. So this is going to be a pretty good turn. He'll likely end up losing his Goyf. But we're just going to trade Goyfs here, but we get a Liliana instead, which is a pretty good trade. Avery will also get his 4th land off of this. Yep, Path will take care of Goyf as expected. Avery will go get a basic land. Okay, yep. Scavenging Ooze attacks for 2, evens things up at 13 apiece. But now we have a clear front runner here. Avery in control with a Scavenging Ooze Liliana. He also has that Kolaghan's Command in hand. Dan is currently hellbent. So this is a rough spot for the Abzan player. Lingering Souls, we have very good pickup right now. It would give him a way to... Now, the only problem with that is he'll lose the second half of the Lingering Souls if he wants to do it. Because Avery will get to eat it if he would like, which I imagine is the case. Dan going to fetch down to 12. Nihil Spellbomb Index pretty good in this matchup. Both players like their graveyard, so... Being the one player to have the little control over it is nice. Alright, Dan picks up a Grim Flare. Dan does currently have Delirium, so that is a 4/4 Grim Flare right now. Now, can Avery get rid of it? Instant, Sorcery, Creature, Land, Planeswalker. So Avery can eat Liliana. But Dan's got 2 lands. He only has 1 creature, though. So Avery can eat the Goyf and eat Liliana, and that'll bring Flare to a 2/2 again. And it'll also make the Skooz a 3/3. And I think Avery actually picked up... Huh. If I'm not mistaken, this turn, Avery could have used both his green sources to eat the Goyf and the Liliana, make the Flare a 2/2, play his Swamp, Kolaghan's Command, killing your Flare, dealing 2 damage to you, get in for 3. I think that would have been probably the best line here. He could have had Dan at 7. But I discarding that land, I think, was a bit of a misstep. And yeah, Avery just says go. Yeah, I mean, that's okay because he's able to ambush the Grim Flare, kind of. But I really would have liked that not being there. Dan, a second Grim Flare off the top of the deck here. So, yeah, Avery going to go ahead. He eats the Goyf, goes to 14, eats the Liliana. Dan now only has a pair of 2/2s. Avery is able to clean up both of these. Oh, he has to terminate as well. That's a great draw. He is able to clean up both of these this turn, though. I don't even want to... I think I just want to minus Liliana, to be honest, this turn. I don't even want to plus her. Both cards in my hand are great. Yep. I almost... Yeah, I wonder if you want a Kolaghan's Command on Dan's draw step. Make him get rid of the Flare. Or get rid of a Flare and make him go to the card in his hand. Oh, okay. I guess buying back Goif is also a good line. Yeah, that's fine. So flare down. Now this does turn on Delirium for the second flare, but Avery still has a green source available to make his Skoos a 4/4, while also bringing Dan's Grim Flare back to a 2/2. But Avery will go the easier way and just go ahead and Liliana get rid of your Grim Flare, and then get him for 4 points of damage. So Dan now at 8, Avery at 15. Dan in a bad spot, just says go. Avery picks up a Lightning Bolt. A little bit of reach for his deck. He actually has lethal this turn if that's if this Skoos connects. And yeah, he's gonna go ahead and eat right now. Up to 16. Get in for 5. Dan, what do you got? No blocks is you're dead. All right. So game 1 over to our Jund player. Avery taking it down there with some nice draws, and Dan just unfortunately couldn't find anything to go with. I mean, the Grim Flares were nice, but Avery just had more than enough answers. The problem is when it's as nice as it is when your opponent's stuck on land and they're kind of spinning their wheels. The problem is if they're stuck on lands, they only have like 2 lands in play. It means their hand's just full of gas. And we saw that there. Avery was just able to play threat after threat after threat, answer after answer, and just deal with Dan's board with relative ease. So heading into our sideboard, let's start with Dan. Dan's got access to 1 Engineer Explosives, 1 Clutch Brutality, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Nihil Spellbomb, 2 Stony Silence, 1 Maelstrom Pulse, 2 Flaying Tendrils, 3 Fulminator Mage, 1 Gideon Ally of Zendikar, and 1 Damnation. So on my Abzan side, explosives, yeah, it's probably fine here. Brutality, I'm not a big fan of. Surgical, maybe. Nihil Spellbomb I think is good. Stony Silence, no. Maelstrom Pulse, yes. Flaying Tendrils, no. Fulminator Mage, potentially, but I'm not sure about that one. Gideon Ally of Zendikar, definite yes. Damnation, yes. Avery's side, I have 1 Damnation, 1 Anger of the Gods, 1 Engineered Explosive Zone, 1 Collective Brutality, 2 Kitchen Finks, 1 Obstinate Baloth, 2 Lost Legacy, okay, 3 Lilian of the Void, 1 Knight of Souls Betrayal, 1 Golgari Charm, and 1 Thrun the Last Troll. So on Avery's side, Damnation I like. Anger of the Gods, maybe for Lingering Souls, but I don't know about that one. Explosives I like. Brutality, no. Kitchen Finks, yes. Baloth, yeah, that's probably fine. Lost Legacy. That one hits anything, right? It's like non-artifact. Double check Lost Legacy. I haven't read it in a little while. Name a non-artifact, non-land card. Why are you not just playing like Slaughter games? I guess it's 1 more mana, but like, I don't know. Lost Legacy, I'm gonna probably say no on. Lilian of the Void, yes. Knight of Souls Betrayal, no. Golgari Charm, no. Golgari Charm maybe, but I don't know. Thrun the Last Troll, yes. So we got some choices here. Both players get to take out some of their hand interaction. It's just not as effective in this matchup. Inquisitions and Thoughtseize aren't as great. They're really, really bad in top deck wars. So typically, those are the first couple cards you see get taken out. So, Dan here going to have the play for game 2. Going to be looking for a better start this time. He did mulligan to 6, and he got Inquisition turn 1, so effectively started on a mulligan to 5. So that definitely made it a little bit rougher for him. Let's see how this one goes. Tyler's Tracker's a great one, but we only have 1 land, so Dan's going to have to mulligan, but Avery will join him this time. So down to 6, both of our green-black players go. Hopefully we can find a good 6 to keep. for both these guys. All right. Kitchen Finks in hand for Avery. It's a good one. Grim Flare as well in hand for Avery. Can also be really good. Fatal Push. Avery's hand looks fine. Dan's hand, we've got... Ooh. Is that 4 lands? Yeah, 4 lands, Grim Flare, and I think a Damnation. Both players keep their 6. Dan keeps his on top. Avery opts to go to the bottom. Dan going to start here with Shemley Benson to pass the turn. Left in hand with only Tireless Tracker and lands. So if Avery had some sort of turn 1 interaction, it'd be a good one to get. That's a great pickup, though. No wonder he scried at the top. It was Lingering Souls. Oh, no, that's right. He had the animation as well. So, but no play here. Just going to go ahead and play Godless Shrine. Into play tapped. Avery on the end step going to go ahead and sacrifice Bloodstained Mire. False to 19. Figuring out what land he wants to grab. He does have Maelstrom Pulse, which is a great answer to the Spirit tokens that Lingering Souls makes. But Dan has a pretty good lineup of spells here. He gets to go Lingering Souls next turn into Tireless Tracker with a land drop on the following turn. And that land, it doesn't, I don't think he's got, no, he actually has, he has double Marsh Flats. So he's actually going to get 2 clues unless Avery has a fetch land to crack in between the fetch. But I don't think he will. Okay, Avery gets a Blood Crypt. His draw this turn was a Black Cleave Cliffs, another black red land to go with the first one he fetched up. Grim Flare probably going to be the play this turn. Yes, it is. So I imagine we're going to see some sort of chain of events that's going to go Lingering Souls, Maelstrom Pulse, or Lingering Souls, attack you for 2, play a Grim Flare, make a token. If Avery has a fetch land, Fatal Push, or Tireless Tracker. We'll have to see, though. Gavany Township comes down for Dan, and there's that Lingering Souls. Again, Avery does have in hand his copy of Maelstrom Pulse. I believe that's a 2 of after sideboard. No, that's just a 3 of. He's got 2 main deck and a... Oh, sure, he doesn't have 1 in the sideboard, sorry. He has 2 in his main deck instead this week. Dan's on the 1-1 split, right? Yes, Dan's on a 1-1 split. 1 sideboard, 1 main. Avery here going to go ahead, sacrifice Verdant Catacombs. This is going to be some sort of 3rd land. Doesn't really matter the colors. It's just going to probably turn into a Maelstrom Pulse. You're not attacking into these spirits because you're not offering this trade. And I don't think you really want to trade Fatal Push for one of them either. Although I guess, I don't know, maybe. Maelstrom Pulse is a good tool to have. Avery will shock in to play that Overgrown Tomb down to 16. He is now. And yeah, Maelstrom Pulse. No, Kitchen Finks. All right, so we're at 18 instead. He wants to get down his recurring threat that also plays around the Liana, but I imagine we would have seen Lily last turn if Dan had the option of playing her. Dan does, of course, have that Damnation, which is kind of the escape button or the restart button if things go, too far gone for him. This turn, I feel, is going to be Tireless Tracker, make my land drop, get a clue, sacrifice, get another clue. All that good stuff. I'm wrong. He's going to flashback Souls. This is playing so much into Maelstrom Pulse. This is gross. That's really unfortunate. Avery picks up another land here. Staring down right now. Fatal Push, Maelstrom Pulse. I think it's another Flare at the back of his hand. I'm not sure about the last card in his hand. Along with that, of course, 2 lands. More like Damnation. I'm going to give that a C. I'm going to give that a C. Which, I'm going to be honest, I feel is probably better than you expected out of that. I feel like you were shooting like high D there. to go with the damnation and got a C. All right, Avery fetches up, I think, a blood crypt. No, he got a forest. Yeah, he got a forest. All right, well, that's a conversation we'll have to have off stream. All right, Maelstrom Pulse, sure enough, wipes away all of these tokens. Dan, we don't have Delirium. We have 3 lands and a Maelstrom Pulse, so no Delirium for that Grimflayer. This is an attack, though, for 5. Dan at 15. Avery gets a trigger on Grimflayer. Again, he's currently 2 card types away from Delirium, having only land and sorcery in his graveyard. He'll add another land to the graveyard with that swamp. I don't know what to do with the other ones. Summoner went back to the top, but yeah, Dan just got crushed by a Maelstrom Pulse. I don't know. I'm a little surprised he didn't just play Tracker last turn and have up the souls for the following turn, but because the thing for Avery is he still has the answer to the Tracker. He's got a Fatal Push in hand. But I guess he needs a fetch land for that still. Or some way to get rid of a permanent of his own. Okay, Dan picks up another copy of Lingering Souls. Shows Avery a card with his card flicking. Still got lots of fetch lands. I just get this Tracker in there. I mean, I guess this is probably a better spot now for Lingering Souls, because you can cast it and flashback. Avery right now, Kolaghan's Command and Fatal Push to go with Black Cleave Cliffs in hand. Those are the 3 cards he's got left. Again, some number of cards went to the top of the deck, so we know that he's going to be drawing something he liked. What, I don't know, but something. Okay, Marsh Flat's going to be sacrificed. Dan at 13 now. He will grab a basic swamp. Why has my stream frozen? 1 second, guys. There we go. We're back. All right. So we did just play in flashback Lingering Souls. Makes sense. Another Kitchen Finks is the draw there for Avery, though. He plays 2 sideboard copies, and he's now drawn them both. So it's not bad, though. Avery here thinking what he wants to do. Again, I believe he only has 2 card types still in his graveyard with land and sorcery. Dan's still with that reset key in hand with that damnation. He's going to go ahead and put everything in front of these guys. Fatal Push could probably get bought here. Kolaghan's Command also an option. He could actually do both? No. Yes. No. No, he can't. He doesn't have enough black lands to do that. Wow, okay. Avery just says damage. Yeah, sure, let's take it. Alright. Bit of an awkward trade there, I think. I don't know. Lost a Grimflayer for that. Seems a little rough. Avery goes to 19. Thanks to Kitchen Mix coming back into play. You gotta feel like that's a win if you're Dan. Second Kitchen Finks comes down. Avery to 21 now. And back to Dan we go. Dan here drawing lands. I will say that he's drawn quite a few lands. But now is the time to take advantage of that. You get Tireless Tracker, get him in there. Make use of all those lands. Get him in there. Come on. Avery at the moment can't actually answer a Tracker unless Dan were to oblige in a block on a Kitchen Finks. Oh, yeah. There we go. Get that clue. I'm going to say go. Avery right now, not able to fatal push. Doesn't have revolt. Picks up for the turn a copy of Dark Confidant. It's good, but doesn't deal with the tracker right now. He doesn't have the liberty of firing off a Colligan's command, because that'll just get canceled out by the sacrifice of the clue. Ever going to offer the trade with both of these? I think I'm just taking this if I'm Dan here. This Tireless Tracker has the potential to take this game over. The card advantage is going to provide. I have another fetch line in hand. I've got potential for 4 clues here. Just gross. All right, we're gonna block. This is gonna. Wow, this is gonna get blown out by Colligan's command. I think Avery being deliberate here in how he is making sure he knows where Dan wants to be inside of combat. Yeah, Colligan's command going to be a blowout here. I think honestly, I just say I'll take this damage. Here he buys back Grim Flayer. Dan will get to go ahead and sacrifice a clue and draw a card. He picks up a Siege Run. That's a good one, though. Avery does, again, though, still have Fatal Push, which is able to kill a Rhino. Dan, end of the turn, going to go ahead and fetch. I also like that he didn't fetch in response to his tracker dying. He missed a clue entirely, which is real rough. Dan's at 9? Okay, sure. Oh, he took 3, right? Not 2. He took 3. All right. Dan drew another land. Jeez, he drew a Stirring Wildwood here. That one's okay, at least, because it's a creature, but... Yeah, the tracker use was a little unfortunate. He could have got a lot more to that tracker. There's a Rhino, though, so 12 to 18 are the new life totals. Again, Rhino, one of the big problems with it, though, is it does die to Fatal Push. Does Avery have a way to turn on Fatal Push? He picks up Bloodstained Mire, so yes, he does, and you see him quickly put that one into play. No hesitation on his part there at all. This is going to be a good turn. He gets to play his whole hand if he wants, which is Dark Confidant, Grim Flayer, and Fatal Push. Fatal Push, your only threat. Now, I mean, that does get wrecked by Dan's Damnation. So I don't know if he wants to go that deep, but that is an option he has. He'd be left with a 2-1 Kitchen Finks. Which is less than ideal, to say at the least. Players are under the 20-minute mark now, so this is only game 2. Got to keep that in mind. Dan does need to get a win here to force a draw at best. Avery picks up a second Overgrown Tomb. There's the push to get rid of this Rhino. Rhino down. We're coming in for 5. Dan, no option there but to take 5 damage and falls to 7. Is Avery going to play either of these? Both of these? Neither of these? Let's see. Avery is again thinking here. It's a big decision. It turns the clock onto a 1-turn clock. All right, he does play the Flayer, which is going to go ahead and... I would imagine this is going to prompt Dan to fire off his Damnation, unless he has something better to do. Land is not something better to do. Land is another land. That's really unfortunate. Dan has run a lot of lands this game. I will give him that one. Down to only 1 relevant card in hand. It's Damnation. It's a good one. And he'll also have enough mana to leave a blocker up with either Wildwood or Shambling Vents. Thanks to that 8th land he's got in play now. Yep, Damnation getting fired off. Away goes the board. We have a Kitchen Finks that gains Avery 2 more life up to 19. So Dark Confidant still in hand for Avery though, so he didn't overextend, which was a good heads up play by him. Some players might just go for broke there and put it all in and get just blown out on it. So Kitchen Finks here. I don't know what Avery drew. He picked up Knight of Souls Betrayal. Okay. Oh, I guess that's actually good. Sorry, I lied. Yes. That one should come in the sideboard because that does deal with Lingering Souls. Dan here going to go to 6 on the end step. Going to sacrifice that fetch land. He's looking for some help here. He really needs to find not a land. Avery now going to take the lead on card advantage. Dan really, really hoping to find, if nothing else, at least a kill spell for Dark Confidant. Yeah, Dan is drawing a lot of lands here, unfortunately. This draw step is a Fatal Push, so that is an answer to Dark Confidant. That's good. And sure enough, he's going to go ahead and take that right now. Not a big surprise. Doesn't want to play land, just hold on to it. That's fair. Make Avery think he has something. No more Dark Confidant trigger, of course. Dread War gets picked up. That'll be useful if Dan finds a threat. Avery, not at the moment, going to play that Night of Souls Betrayal, obviously. So Dan, another land drawn. Jeez. Terminate. In for 2. Now Dan will get to fire up both blockers here, but Avery will get to kill both if he wants. Which I imagine he does. Yep, so before blocks, I will kill this. Dan turns on Vents instead. I feel like Vents is definitely the more valuable one there, so it's a good play by Dan to let the String Wild be the first one to get hit. Avery will have the answer here. He has Terminate, or Dreadbore rather, I should say. So Avery now left with just in hand Knight of Souls Betrayal. Dan draws a Fatal Push. A little bit late. But it'll be okay if Avery finds another small threat. Like that Grim Flayer. That'll get a little bit of an answer. Dan's own Grim Flayer. That's a good pickup. That is a great pickup by Dan. That is his way back into this game for sure. Okay, Avery going to untap here. What's he pick up his turn? Bloodstained Mire. Is it Avery's turn to start flooding out? Dan slogging through all these lands. Avery going to be the one to offer the trade. Now, I don't know graveyard counts for these guys at the moment. Yeah, Dan has the answer. Doesn't matter. But instant sorcery. So Dan does have Delirium. I assume Avery does as well. So Dan right now with a 4/4 flare versus nothing. We're going to grow the flare. Oh, yeah. Get it a 5/5. There we go. Picks up for the turn. I think another land. Really? How can you keep drawing those? All right, here goes the attack for 5. Avery with no blocks to be had falls to 14. Grim Flayer trigger. Liliana, Scavenging's Abrupt Decay. These are all going on top, I feel. These are all really good cards. Yeah. They're not lands. That's all Dan cares about. And we're going to go to 13 on the end step here. Get rid of that land. Wants to try to find a spell of his own. Needs a bit of help. Looking for either his own Fatal Push, a Terminate, Liliana of his own. Lots of good draws. Lots of good draws. I have no idea. A lot of fetch lands. My count, 1, 2, 3, at least 5, potentially 6. Wow, and he finds Liliana. No man lands in play to protect Dan's Grim Flayer, so that is going to get killed off here. So a lot of good draws, and Avery finally gonna let the cat out of the bag and play that Niagara Falls Betrayal. Scavenging Ooze has potential to get the largest here, so I feel like that's a fine choice. Putting the Scavenging Ooze on top of the deck. 1 creature, 2 creatures, 3, 4. 4 creatures. We can eat all those. Do we have 4 green? Yeah, he does, but he only has 2 this turn he wants to use. So we'll eat the 2 Finks. Dan at 10 now. Avery going to need another answer. Scooz is only a 3/3, and then this was Betrayal, of course, shrinking down that Scavenging Ooze. There is Niagara Falls Betrayal, the legendary enchantment for 4 mana that gives all creatures -1/-1. Avery finds a Raging Ravine, though, which is not a bad one. Yeah, Dan says, yeah, you got my land. Haha. Bet you I didn't think I'd have one more of those. Raging Ravine here is good. It's either a blocker or an aggressor, even. Probably not an aggressor in this situation. Scavenging Ooze is a much better attacker. Abrupt Decay, good draw. We knew that was there, though, so... Here's the attack for 3. That's going to bring Avery to 10 unless Dan chooses to grow his Ooze in the process. It looks like he's going to. He's going to move in on eating all of Avery's creatures. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Dan at 13 now. Avery going to take a hit here for 6. And fall to 7. Yeah, so Ravine now has to stay home unless Avery finds an answer to Scavenging Ooze. Which he did. Maelstrom Pulse. All right. I definitely would have attacked there if I was Avery. I 100% would have attacked there. Dan's not going to have like haste threats to worry about. So Raging Ravine will get to kill Liliana, though. So Liliana's going to come down and go to 4, and then Avery gets to kill it with Raging Ravine. So Avery now back in the driver's seat, I have to imagine here. Once Dan has nothing left. Ghost Quarter, a good pickup as well. Ravine going to get turned on here. What are we going to kill? Liliana is my guess. Yep, down she goes. No. Liliana takes 4, sir. Oh, no. Night of Souls Betrayal is going to shrink down that Raging Ravine. I forgot about that. But Dan, another land. Oh my God, Dan. Oh man. How can you still be drawing those? Like, haven't you found all of them? I feel like Dan's seen like 16 lands this game. All right, Raging Ravine will finish the job. Liliana down. What did Dan pick up? Is that a Liliana? That's what it looked like. Yeah, it was. It'll get the card out of Avery's hand at least. Looks like he'll respond. What? No, what? Avery, you have to discard, man. Okay, yeah, he does have response. It's Abrupt Decay. It's another answer. So, man, if you had to pick one side to say who drew better this game, it's 100% the Jun side of this table. Turn on Ravine again. Right now it's going to be an attack for 5. 5, and so Dan still has 3 turns here. But he needs to find something. He's got lots of answers. He needs to find like a Fatal Push here. Ooh. Ooh. Cody, yeah, that's true. All right, so there's a Grim Flare for Dan. Is Avery going to find another answer? No, he finds a land, but I think it's another Ravine. It sure is. It sure is. Man, Avery just so far ahead now. Thrun gets to kill Grim Flare and not die in the process. Raging Ravine gets to kill Flare and not die in the process. We're in a ghost quarter your township. Dan will respond by activating the township, I have to imagine. Dan is out of bases. He's drawn them all. Oh, no. No, he hasn't. He has one more, actually. He's got a forest somewhere still. Flare back to its 4/4 self, which actually is bigger than Thrun, I should say there, so that's not bad. Ravine, however, going to have a 4th counter, which will make it a 6/6 in this case because of the Knight of Souls Betrayal. So that is more than big enough to attack over a Grim Flare safely. Thrun is still a safe attack. It just won't die, but it's not an attack you're willing to make here, I can't imagine. There's just no reason to. It's also a great blocker. Dan needs some help. I don't even know what the help would be, though, at this point. He's already used his 1 damnation. That's the only answer he has to Thrun other than Liliana. Turn on Ravine. I think Avery is trying to decide if he wants to attack with Thrun. There's no reason to, right? It takes down the only blocker you'll have. I don't think the blocker is necessary because, again, Dan on Absent doesn't have anything that has haste. Dan's best draw here is probably Lingering Souls. That's just going to put infinite block. No, that's awful. I lied. That's awful. Don't draw Lingering Souls, Dan. Don't draw that card. I keep forgetting that Knight of Souls Betrayal is sitting there just waiting to stop that. The innocuous enchantment that just sits there and I ignore it. Dan here thinking what he has to do. He knows he has to block. He's trying to decide if he wants to block the Raging Ravine now, is my guess. I don't know. I feel like you probably have to take the block now. He needs Liliana. That's his only... Is he still dead even to the Ravine next turn, right? 7... That'd be 8. Yeah, so... He'll block Thrun, which Avery will save. Nope, he'll block Raging Ravine. Okay. So Dan takes 3, falls to 6. So yeah, Dan's... Even with Liliana, he's still just dead. Another land. Holy.